I'd like to invite everybody to start taking their seats, please. We'll begin the ceremony shortly. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the DiGiovanna family, the Verdugo Fire Academy, and our entire fire service family, thank you all for being here today to honor the life and the legacy of Chief Sam DiGiovanna. My name is Ara Zakarian, fire captain with the Glendale Fire Department, Firefighters Local 776. But more importantly, I'm a Verdugo Fire Academy alumni, a Verdugo Fire Academy instructor, and a product of Chief Sam DiGiovanna's. Today is about remembering a leader, a mentor, a colleague, and most importantly, a man who dedicated his life to service and to shaping generations of firefighters who carry his influence forward every single day. As we start today's ceremony, we ask that you please silence your phones and remain respectful throughout the service as we honor Chief DiGiovanna and support his family. And if I may, just take a brief personal moment. I had the high honor of knowing Chief DiGiovanna, first as a Verdugo Fire Academy cadet, then as an instructor with the Verdugo Fire Academy, and now as a part of my own fire family. Like so many here, I am the direct product of the standards he set, the expectations he demanded, and the pride he instilled in this profession. Chief DiGiovanna deeply believed in building firefighters the right way. Discipline, integrity, humility, and service above self. His influence didn't stop at the drill ground or the classroom. It lives on in how we carry ourselves, how we lead, and how we take care of one another in the fire service. It is truly an honor to help guide today's service in recognition of a man who helped shape many of us here and who we have become in this fire service, and a man who has personally and directed directly helped me shape my own future. And at this time, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I'd like to begin our service. We will begin with an invocation and a moment of reflection by Minister of God and friend of the family, Jimmy King.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And before I begin, did you guys notice that playlist that was kind of playing? A little classic rock and roll. I asked Janet, she said that's the playlist that Sam had her create for this occasion. So I love that Sam's touching all of us now with this classic rock. That was awesome. That was great. I appreciate that. So when someone lives a life like Sam did, it's hard to know where to begin. So I want to simply talk about how he lived. Sam was a man of faith. And because of that faith, that was his motivation for the way he worked in his profession, his personal life, and particularly the way he loved Janet. Sam believed that serving people was how he served God. That's not a slogan, it's not an idea, but as a steady direction for his life. When I asked Janet what she loved most about Sam, she didn't talk about all his accomplishments, which are many. She talked about his integrity. She said Sam always did the right thing all the time, even when no one was watching. That kind of integrity shows up in small moments. She told me about an occasion one time they were in a restaurant eating, and they noticed an elderly couple sitting there eating alone. Sam quietly went up, paid for their meal, and made sure they didn't know about it until they had already left the restaurant. No recognition, no thanks, just kindness given freely. That kind of reminds me of something Jesus said in Matthew 25. Whatever you do for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. That verse matters because it tells us something very profound. When we serve people, especially quietly and humbly, God receives it personally. Sam understood that. Another scripture that fits Sam's life was Micah 6:8, which says, what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That verse isn't about belief alone. It's about posture, justice, mercy, humility. Sam lived those things, not from a pulpit, but in everyday choices. One of the things that moved me the most as I was visiting and learning more about Sam was that a man of his position had a busy life, that week after week, he would send encouragements to a group of over 200 people. You may have been one of those that received his weekly encouragements. One of those, and I think I saw some of them up on the PowerPoint. One of those said, peace begins the moment you stop trying to control what isn't yours to carry. Sam carried responsibility, heavy responsibility. As a fire chief and public servant, he saw chaos, danger, and loss. But he also knew that that wasn't his to carry. He trusted God with the outcomes. He did what was placed in front of him, and he released the rest. Sam was at peace. That connects directly to Colossians 3:23, which states, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. That verse matters because it reframes work itself as worship. Sam just didn't see his role as a job. It was a calling. He worked with excellence, not for recognition, but because he believed God was honored through his faithful service. You know, another message that Sam sent in his weekly encouragements said, today, instead of being upset about all the things that are wrong, I will be thankful for all the things that are right. That's not denial. That is spiritual maturity. Scripture tells us, give thanks in all circumstances. Not because everything is easy, but because God is still present. Sam chose gratitude as a discipline. And then he encouraged others to do the same. If I can, I'd like to share a brief personal story. The only time I actually met Sam. I'd been friends with Janet for a long time, and we worked together, and from time to time we'd get together and she'd tell stories about Sam. I'd talk about my family, and we began to realize that we share similar faith and kind of similar beliefs. And then I had an opportunity to join Sam and Janet for dinner one night. Well, because she talked about him, I knew a little bit about him, and so I'm going to admit it, I Googled him, and to be honest, it was a little intimidating. He was accomplished. He was respected, a leader, a man of stature. And I remember thinking to myself, he probably won't have much interest in someone like me. But Sam was just the opposite. From the moment we met, he made me feel seen. He was interested in my life. He listened, he asked questions, and he was present. You know, later I was talking with Janet, and she made it all make sense. She said, Sam's goal when meeting people is always the same, to make them feel heard. And Sam did that very well. It's not an accident. That's, again, a spiritual discipline. Jesus modeled that kind of attention, seeing people others overlooked, listening when others rushed past. Sam lived that out. That's why I believe Sam was the living truth of Mark 10:45, where Jesus says, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. These verses matter because it defines true leadership. Sam didn't lead from above. He led alongside. He didn't measure people by status. He measured them by humanity. In John 15:13, it says, greater love has no one than this, to lay down his life for one's friends. That doesn't only mean single moment of sacrifice. It means a life shaped by willingness to show up, to protect, and to put others first. Sam lived that kind of love daily. But as we talk about Sam's motivation, his faith, it's also, we need to talk a little bit about hope and his hope. In 2 Corinthians 5, Paul writes that our earthly bodies are temporary tents, and that when this life ends, we're given a dwelling from God, eternal and secure. He tells us that to be absent from the body is to be home with the Lord. And that matters today. Sam is not lost. He's home. And Romans 8:18 reminds us that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed. Sam knows that glory fully renewed, restored, whole, with a new body, free from pain, limitations, and burden. We grieve today because we love Sam. And that's right. But we also need to give thanks for integrity lived out quietly, for faith expressed through his service, for kindness without credit, for encouragement freely given, for a man whose motivation was simple and deep, to serve God by serving people. Sam's work here is complete. The impact of his life remains. And that faith that guided him now carries him home. Would you guys pray with me, please? God of mercy and hope, we thank you for Sam. Thank you for his life, for his integrity, and his faithful service. Thank you for the assurance that he is home with you, renewed and at peace. Comfort Janet and all those who loved him, and help us live the kind of lives that Sam modeled, lives that serve you by serving others. Amen.
Thank you very much for that. To briefly also acknowledge, Chief Sam had a big impact in the fire service. And we look in this room, many of the firefighters up to fire chief have been impacted by Chief Sam, and truly service above self. At this time, we will have the presentation of colors by the Pasadena Fire Department Honor Guard and the California State Firefighters Association's pipes and drums. I ask you to please stand. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Right. Hey. Come guard. At the tap. Forward. March.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, we will have a tribute in honor of Chief Sam DiGiovanna. Thank you for that beautiful tribute put together. First, I would like to invite Eddie Sell, Fire Chief Eddie Sell has served the California Fire Service for over 35 years, including time with CAL FIRE, the Long Beach Fire Department, and most recently, the Hemet Fire Department. He's the president of California State Firefighters Association, serves on Fire Scope, and is a strong advocate for youth pathway programs, creating strong partnerships and supporting our public safety professionals.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Sam would appreciate this. I have to wear glasses these days. It is an honor to be here and share the experience of celebrating Sam's impactful life of service, dedication, and love. I knew Sam for many years. However, it wasn't until he increased his engagement with CSFA where I became directly exposed to his commitment, caring, and passion for the fire service. We shared a love for making a lasting difference and inspiring young men and women to become future firefighters and good people. Sam's work ethic is infectious, as all of you know. And many times I would think to myself, how in the heck does this guy have time to write another article? I mean, seriously, I was like, I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. While serving as a board of director for CSFA, Sam was engaged in the day-to-day operations and oversight of our 104-year-old Fire Service Trade Association. Sam attended various committee meetings, worked closely with our staff, attended numerous events, listened to our members, and ensured logistical and planning details were perfect. And I thought I knew people, but man, Sam, he knew someone everywhere that could help out with a donation or some sort of sponsorship. I think we used to have a competition about who can get the most donations and who could get the most things donated, which was awesome. So he was tremendous with that. Sam has been a mentor, servant leader, and most importantly, a friend to countless number of people, including me. I will be forever grateful for the kindness, prayers, and encouragement that Sam gave me during some challenging times, including some very close personal losses. That was a true reflection of Sam's character, and while other people shy away from helping a friend in need, Sam made it a point to pick up the phone or simply reach out with positive text messages that showed a strong spiritual connection and true understanding of the word friendship. Sam was a tireless advocate for behavioral health, staying physically fit and active, and collaborating with organizations who support our first responders with overall well-being. However, as you guys know, he did like his red wine and Tito's. That's not a bad thing. While visiting Sam recently in the hospital, I mentioned to Janet that Sam's legacy will live on forever, and those of us who were inspired by Sam will move forward and ensure we have committed to assisting firefighters, working collaboratively with everyone, and ensuring our youth pathway programs remain in effect and multiply. I am proud today to announce that our CSFA 2026 SoCal and NorCal Fire Explorer musters will be held in Sam's honor, and that a new annual award will be named the Chief Sam DiGiovanna Award for Excellence in Fire Explorer Leadership. Thank you. This award represents Sam's devotion to paying it forward through selfless service, sacrifice, and mentorship. Thank you to Janet, family, and friends for allowing me to share some thoughts and to ensure that Sam's legacy lives on forever. May those of us that are gathered here or watching the celebration of Sam's life today appreciate family, appreciate how precious life is, appreciate the honor of serving others, and remember Sam's humility, commitment, and love for everyone. Thank you, Sam, for your decades of service. You have raised the bar, and we will strive to meet your expectations. Rest in peace, brother. You are with our Savior.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Chief. Next, we will hear from Steve Ford. Steve Ford spent 26 years as a firefighter paramedic wearing the blue shirt. And alongside Chief Sam DiGiovanna, he saw the full range of human behavior, the brave, the broken, and the things best left off of polite conversations. With 40 years in graphic design and a degree in literary studies, Steve also teamed up with Chief Sam on countless projects, proving that creativity can thrive even where sirens scream and things go bump in the night. I'd like to invite Steve Ford.
Wonderful to be here. It's a real honor. I know that Sam is with us today. First, I wanted to say thanks to our cadets. Here they are, committed, tremendous commitment to be in the academy, and then looking forward to a life in the fire service. These are the best that we have. So I'm thankful for the cadets that helped me park my car, thinking, wow, that guy's a real geriatric. It's a real honor to stand in front of you. Sam and I did a lot of things together, a lot of public relations, even when he was a battalion chief and then chief. Like the introduction, we were hired about the same time and retired around the same time. Chief Sam was the creative chief. Yeah, I was the artist and did graphics, but he was creative. His ideas were never ending. In my 26 years wearing the blue shirt, I worked under 6 different chiefs. 6 men, 6 command styles, 6 distinct ways of letting you know who was in charge. They were wide and varied, but you know, some ruled with paperwork, some by volume, some by fear, some by silence. We've all known those guys. Only one ever crawled out of the command post, stepped into the smoke and spoke the everyday language of the guys doing the heavy lifting, and that was Sam. Sam wasn't flashy. He didn't deal in slogans or laminated mission statements. He didn't talk about culture. He understood it. He also didn't waste money trying to look progressive. Wow, progressive? If something didn't matter, it stayed unfunded. If it mattered, he didn't blink. That combination alone made him dangerous in a world that prefers appearances over outcome. Sam believed in training, real training, not the kind that checked boxes or satisfied insurance companies. He hated that. Not the kind where everyone already knew how it would end before it started. He liked to surprise us. Sam trained for the moments when plans fell apart, radios went crazy, and the fire reminded you it doesn't care who signs your paycheck. On A shift, expectations were simple. Know your job and know it cold. Because someday the job would ask questions you didn't get time to think about. What separated Sam from the rest wasn't that he preached preparation. It was that he built it. And this is fun. This is interesting. Sam hunted down buildings already scheduled for demolition, condemned structures with real layouts, real weaknesses, and real consequences. Places where walls had memory and staircases didn't forgive mistakes. Instead of simulations, we trained in real environments that didn't lie. And then Sam would light them carefully, deliberately. He wasn't reckless. He respected fire the way you respect something that has killed people you know. One group would ignite the structure, another group would arrive blind, hearts already running ahead of them, forced to read the smoke and heat like Braille. Fire doesn't care how nice you are, how long you've been on the job, or what your last evaluation said. It just waits for you to foul up and then writes the report in smoke later. Axes bit, chainsaws screamed, hose lines fought back. Smoke slipped into places we didn't even know existed. This wasn't theater. This was the job. There was a satisfaction in it. Not joy, not fun, something quieter. The satisfaction of knowing your hands had done this before, so maybe they'd remember when it counted. And right there, somewhere between the first charge line and the heat banking down on us, you'd catch it. That twinkle in Sam's eyes. Not amusement, not pride, recognition. It was the look of a man watching people grow sharper, safer, and more honest under pressure. He never announced it, never pointed it out, but it was there, a flicker that said, this matters. You're learning something you won't get a second chance to learn. The training always carried a weight with it, a reminder. Fire doesn't negotiate. Fire doesn't care about rank or intent. Sam understood that balance. Push hard enough to make you better, but never so hard you forget what you're here for. He treated firefighting as both discipline and craft. Tools weren't just equipment. They were extensions of communication. Timing mattered. Flow mattered. Small mistakes could stack up quietly and become large ones. Sam was hands-on without hovering, present without suffocating, close enough to guide, far enough to trust. That kind of leadership doesn't announce itself. It just shows up and stays. And man, did he stay. You could see the responsibility sitting on him, especially when the smoke cleared and things slowed down. He wasn't haunted. He was aware of how thin the margin really was and how fast things could turn if preparation slipped away. And still he showed up every time. Matthew Kelly talks about greatness as contribution, not comfort. Sam lived that without quoting it. He invested in people. He made the work meaningful, even when routine tried to dull it. He left behind habits, instincts, muscle memory that kicked in when thinking stopped. His legacy isn't a plaque on the wall. It's the calm radio traffic in firefighters who didn't hesitate when the moment came because they'd already stood in worse places under his watch. The creative chief didn't just train firefighters, he shaped them. And that influence doesn't retire. Today, Sam would want us to keep moving. He believed in saying what mattered, then getting out of the way. That twinkle would show up, not as approval, but as trust. Sam, thanks for 26 years of lessons, especially laughter and comedy. And that look that always told us something important was happening. I'll be watching for that twinkle again someday. Love you, Sam. God bless.
Thank you for sharing that with us, sir. At this time, I'd like to invite Fire Chief Jeremy Sanchez. Jeremy Sanchez is the current fire chief for the city of Monrovia, where he has dedicated 25 years of service to the Monrovia Fire Department. Before becoming fire chief, he held the roles of fire cadet, firefighter, fire engineer, fire captain, and division chief, including serving as a fire cadet and a firefighter during Chief DiGiovanna's time with the Monrovia Fire Department. Please welcome Jeremy Sanchez.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. What a great group of individuals, professionals, friends, family member for Sam. I'm honored to be here today to recognize Chief DiGiovanna and his legacy with Monrovia Fire Department. As I began preparing this speech, I thought carefully about how important it was that I honored Chief DiGiovanna. And I quickly realized this wasn't going to be an easy task. After 46 years of fire service experience, Chief DiGiovanna's leadership, mentorship, commitment, passion, and overwhelming love for people in the fire service is going to be hard to put into words. Fortunately, I also know that Chief DiGiovanna would have wanted me, as he would say, to land the plane. He would have wanted me to get to the point with enthusiasm, attention to detail, and again, land the plane. So Chief, I will do my best. Those that know me best know that tend to be long-winded, so I do apologize, Chief. So on January 28th, 1980, at the age of 20, Chief DiGiovanna was hired as a firefighter with the city of Monrovia, and his legacy began. This period in the fire service was not easy. Many changes were taking place both in Monrovia and the fire service as a whole. I'm sure you can imagine how challenging it was to navigate that environment. But in any organization, when significant change is taking place, you need people who are willing to step up and take on that challenge. Not surprising, Chief DiGiovanna was that person. He was one of those people. His willingness to step up during an era helped shape his future in Monrovia. He understood the need to adapt and continually find new ways to serve the community. That approach helped him propel both his career and Monrovia forward. In 1995, he was promoted to fire chief and assigned a 40-hour work schedule. Now, for many firefighters, you would think that's a punishment. Taking somebody off the floor and putting me in the office, that wasn't something that he was looking forward to. But not for him. He took this as an opportunity to change. He took this as an opportunity to take programs that hadn't been developed, to take programs that needed a little bit of a boost, and he got started. He got right to work. He developed Monrovia's first neighborhood emergency response team. He developed our first business emergency response team. He took on the Fire Safe Council and developed it and grew it to what it was. And he also implemented our emergency operations center. In 1996, he was promoted to battalion chief and assigned our training chief. Almost immediately, as Steve said, our training programs and connections with outside agencies expanded. His desire to coordinate multi-company training and multi-agency drills was evident. He was relentless, as Steve mentioned, in securing buildings and creating those trainings and live fire exercises. Those who worked with him know this time and remember those drills. They provided invaluable opportunities to further develop the skills of our firefighters and make the community and them safer. While this training was outstanding, it did have an impact on the department's budget. But not because what you may think of, not because of some overtime or the cost of securing a building or instructors. Those items were covered by Chief's relationships he developed. Countless vendors, countless contractors would look to him and offer the buildings, offer anything we would need because of those relationships. But what might have impacted our budget a little bit was there might have been an occasional sick leave taken during some scheduled training, because those that knew Sam knew if you weren't meeting that standard, he was going to set the bar high and he was going to let you know that you needed to rise to that level. And for some, the occasional common cold or flu may have may have come to fruition at that moment. And after seven successful years as a battalion chief, on January 7th, 2003, he was promoted to fire chief. He immediately leaned on the relationships that he had built during his previous 23 years with the department to take on some very big projects. The trust he earned with elected officials, the city manager, city staff, firefighters, and the community allowed him and the department to accomplish a great deal in a relative short period of time. During his tenure as fire chief, he led the construction and completion of Monrovia's first training tower. He secured their approval to convert a dilapidated house in our foothills into a satellite fire station. And most importantly, he gained the approval to hire 3 fire captains, 3 engineers to fully staff Truck 101. This monumental step helped improve the safety of both our firefighters and the community by ensuring we had what the resources we needed to provide the service to our community properly. What the department accomplished under his leadership is truly remarkable. As his good friend, Glendale Fire Chief Jeff Brooks recently said, he truly left it better than he found it. And for me personally, Chief DiGiovanna was the best chief there ever was. That's something that he will always hold for me because he hired me after all. That's one of those traditions that doesn't fail. It will always repeat itself. But in all seriousness, what I remember most is how he made me feel like a part of the team. As a 20-year fire cadet walking into the station full of big personalities at that time, having a battalion chief take the time to talk with me about my career goals is something I will never forget. Fast forward to the day that he told me a job opening I applied for was going to go to someone else. And that's when I believe you saw who Chief DiGiovanna really was. At that moment, when he was delivering disappointing news, he turned it into an opportunity by asking me a simple question: what can I do to help you get hired? And obviously, as a fire cadet, that caught me off guard. When the fire chief asking me what can he do to help me, I was a little bit taken back. But after I gathered my thoughts, I realized if he could help me get into paramedic school, that would greatly help my career. And truly, in an immediate fashion, I think right up when the meeting was over, he went to the EMS coordinator and the wheels were in motion. A few days later, I had my date for the paramedic prep course. A few weeks later, I had the start date for the Paramedic Training Institute. And truly that moment, and many others like it, let me know that Monrovia was my home. So today, I stand on his shoulders and those that came before him as well. To lighten the mood a little bit, my daughter, yesterday, as I was talking to her about what I had to come to do, she mentioned, so if Chief DiGiovanna hadn't hired you, you wouldn't be fire chief today. And it really resonated because she was exactly correct. If he hadn't taken the opportunity on me 20 some odd years ago, I wouldn't be here today. And I believe there are others in this crowd that he took an opportunity on. He took the chance on. So what I will do is I will honor him by paying it forward and helping the next generation of firefighters succeed. And I ask if anyone in this room had that, Chief DiGiovanna had that same impact on, I ask that you honor him by paying it forward. Give someone an opportunity. Help someone achieve something they didn't know was possible. Offer mentorship and guidance. And most importantly, make everyone know that they are welcomed. That's how we honor him. And that's how I will honor him moving forward. Chief DiGiovanna, on behalf of the city of Monrovia and your entire Monrovia family, we thank you for everything you did while serving our community and for everything you continue to do during your second career as the fire chief of Verdugo Fire Academy. We know that you kept sending us the best cadets. For some reason, our cadet program kept getting these top cadets in Monrovia, and we know they were getting some advice from Chief D. And to Janet and the DiGiovanna family, we send our deepest condolences and our love. You will always be a part of the Monrovia family, and we will be here for you. Thank you.
No, thank you, Chief, for those nice words. Chief Sanchez said something extremely important, the people who come before us. And I was taught that we always operate under the canopy and the shade of the people who planted the trees before us. And Chief Sam has his own tree, and he has a lot of us sitting under it. And, Chief Sanchez, you nailed that. That's absolutely accurate. And somebody like Chief Sam, that's exactly what he did, and we operate under his canopy today. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Stephen Odom. Dr. Stephen Odom has spent more than 3 decades working alongside firefighters and other first responders to support wellness, resilience, and culture change. Raised in a family of public servants, his work reflects a deep respect for those who serve the communities they protect. His work was shaped in part by his friendship and professional collaboration with Fire Chief Sam, whose leadership and humanity helped guide the growth of well-being in the fire service. Sir, I'd like to invite you up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Stephen Odom, and a few of you may know me, most of you don't. I'm here this afternoon to talk about Sam. Listening to what's been said before, I feel like I got the very best of Sam. I got to know him after he had learned everything, been through everything, and was beginning to reflect on a lot of things. He was beginning to look at the big picture. What I know about Sam is I know about the weight he carried. I know the steadiness he offered, and how his leadership didn't end at all when his active role did, just moved on to the next thing. There's a phrase we hear sometimes that it's lonely at the top. Sam understood that phrase. The Sam that you all knew in many ways was very public facing and very enthusiastic. But like I said, he understood that phrase not just as an idea, but as a lived reality. Leadership at his level meant carrying decisions others never saw, absorbing pressures others never felt, and protecting people without ever asking to be protected in return. And over time, I think that reality shaped him into someone truly important. It's been said before, but Sam loved the fire service deeply. Not just the work, not just the mission, but the people. Loved the people. He believed in the service with the seriousness of someone who knew what it costs, but also what the fire service gives back. To many, Sam was a lighthouse, very steady, very visible, very reassuring, especially when the waters were rough. And apparently he was equipped with quite the loud foghorn too. What many people may not realize is that Sam's service absolutely did not end when the active duty did. If anything, it became even more impactful as he continued to teach and train and advocate. He also continued to show up for leaders who were navigating the same terrain he once did. He stayed engaged in the hard conversations. He remained deeply invested in the well-being of those still carrying the responsibility and the burden. Sam also understood that leadership doesn't stop at retirement. It just changes form. I had the privilege of seeing a side of Sam that very few did. What I can say without breaking anything sacred is that many, many people relied on him as a trusted back channel when things got heavy for them. He was extraordinarily careful with confidentiality and discretion, despite his jokes. He listened without fixing. He supported without broadcasting. Countless times, he discreetly reached out to me, to my people, to secure resources for a peer, and no one ever knew. And because of that, most people will never fully know how many lives he steadied, simply by being present and involved at the right moment. That kind of service rarely gets a headline, but it leaves a really deep mark. What's also really interesting about Sam is that people knew him in so many different capacities. You know, he was a perfectionist. He was very demanding. He was hilarious. He was kind. And then he shows up in public in ways that a lot of us didn't even know he was capable of. When major fires broke out, when the public needed clarity and calm, Sam could step right into the spotlight and without hesitation. He had that rare ability to speak plainly, confidently, and with authority, whether he was talking one-on-one with a colleague in a very difficult moment or explaining the unexplainable to an entire region who was watching on television. It's the same steadiness, it's the same clarity, just a different audience. Sam also understood something truly essential. Chiefs need community, not performative connection, not networking, but real peer-to-peer space where rank drops away and humanity remains. He valued places where leaders could speak honestly and learn from each other and feel a little less alone in the role. And when Sam believed in something, as you know, he supported it fully, thoughtfully, carefully, and always with integrity. I want to say something a little personal now. Sam wasn't just someone I worked alongside. He was a friend. He was a man who checked in. He asked real questions. He listened without being in a hurry. And as you all know, he carried himself with humility and steadiness and strength, qualities that are really easy to admire and very rare to embody. At the same time, Sam's humor could run the full spectrum, from a line that made you wince, to one that made you think, to a perfectly awful dad joke. And somewhere along the way, he and I discovered we shared that same gene, unfortunately. To Sam's family, please know this, truly. Sam mattered far beyond what you may ever fully hear. His influence lives on in leaders who feel less isolated, in decisions made with more care, and in moments when someone remembers how Sam handled something and chooses that path again. As I said before, Sam stood as a beacon for others, and so now it's on all of us to carry that light forward in how we lead, in how we care for one another, and how we remember that even the strongest among us need connection. And finally, to the chiefs who are here today, may we honor Sam not only by remembering him, but by continuing to reach out to one another in the same quiet, steady way he did. So thank you, Sam, and thanks for trusting me with this moment. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Odom, for sharing that story with us. Lastly, I'd like to invite Gordon Graham. Mr. Gordon Graham is a 33-year veteran, now retired, of California law enforcement. In this capacity, he served as a street cop, supervisor, manager, and executive. Mr. Graham was awarded a BA in business from San Francisco State College and a teaching credential from the California State University, Long Beach, a master's degree in safety and systems management from the University of Southern California, and a Juris Doctorate from Western State University. He has taken his background as a cop, risk manager, and attorney, and is the co-founder of Lexipol, a company designed to standardize public safety practices around America. He has presented to public safety personnel from around the world and is an educator at the University of Virginia. Please welcome Gordon Graham.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet, for the invitation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Gordon Graham here, and good afternoon. I knew the audience for the celebration of Sam's life would be big, and I'm not surprised it's this big. We're here to celebrate the life of Sam, and since his passing on December 31, you and I have heard a lot about his life and his accomplishments. Please allow me to give you my thoughts, but a foundation. 53 years ago, the California Highway Patrol took a chance, and they hired me. 150 men started the academy, and 16 weeks later, 50 of us graduated. They sent all the new kids to Los Angeles at the time, and there's 5 CHP offices in the Los Angeles area, and I ended up in central Los Angeles. 10 days of break-in with a senior officer who had almost a year on the job, and they put me out by myself in my own brand new 1973 Dodge Polara. I showed up at briefing on my first day by myself, 50 cops in the room, and Sergeant Jack Becker was standing up front, handing out beat assignments. And I'm waiting for my name, and where's Graham? Sir, you got a fixed post detail today, son. Meet the motorcycle cop, Hoover on-ramp to the westbound Santa Monica Freeway. Well, I had no idea what a fixed post detail was. I had no idea where the Hoover on-ramp was to the westbound Santa Monica Freeway. But I figured it out, and I showed up, and there's a motorcycle cop there, and we'll call him Ron, because that was his name. And he said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Gordon." He said, "Are you new?" I said, "Today's my first day." And he shook my hand, and he said, "Welcome to Central." I said, "What are we doing?" He said, "All the Caltrans is doing some construction on the on-ramp, and they need 2 CHP officers here to direct traffic." So here I am on day 1, feeling pretty important, directing traffic on the Santa Monica on-ramp, rush hour traffic. And about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a BMW is getting on the ramp. Now, BMWs today are ubiquitous. 1973, very rare. And if you're into cars, it was a 2800 CS, and beautiful car, and a beautiful woman driving it. Just gorgeous. And she honks the horn, and she waves at the motorcycle cop. And he waves back. 24 hours later, same time, same on-ramp, same woman, same BMW, honks the horn and blows the motorcycle cop a kiss. And he blows her a kiss back. 24 hours later, same time, same station, she honks the horn and she motions to me. So I go walking over there, and she's rolling down the window. And for you young kids in here, that's actually a physical process that we used to do. And she gives me an envelope, and she says, "Would you please give this to the motorcycle officer?" And you could smell the perfume on this envelope, and I'm looking at it. It's addressed to the beautiful motorcycle officer. So I take it over and I give it to Ron, and he opens it up. I notice that she's pulled over on the right shoulder about 200 feet down the road, and he's smiling when he's reading it. He shows it to me. It is the most graphic sexual message you could possibly imagine. If I told you what it said, I'd never get invited any place again. And he got on his motorcycle and followed her off the freeway, and I didn't see him for the rest of the day. And I said, I got to be a motorcycle cop. That is the key. That is the key. And I went to CHP Motorcycle School, which had a 70% failure rate for first-time attendees, and somehow I got through that. And I rode that motorcycle for almost 10 years, and not once did anything remotely close to that ever happen to me. I never lucked out with the ladies, but I sure did luck out in terms of education. I went over to Cal State Long Beach and picked up a teaching credential, and then over to USC and got the graduate degree in safety and systems management. And the whole focus of that program was identifying problems and finding solutions. So in 1977, I started talking to other public safety people about problems and solutions. PCP was brand new back then and nobody knew anything about it. I was talking about PCP, and there were new laws on management of scenes on freeways and all sorts of issues on civil liability. And I was giving these classes, and I've been doing that now for 52 years, and I've learned something. 52 years standing in front of public safety audiences. And I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but I'm just giving you a fact. Give me 100 firefighters in a row. Give me 100 cops in a row. Give me 100 dispatchers in a row. 10 of them don't want to be there. This is a waste of my time. 80, 85 are good people who will do what they're told. And then there's 5%, on the outside 10%, who want to change the world. Dr. Tony Kern, in his great book, Going Pro, The Deliberate Practice of Professionalism, talks about the 3 levels of professionals. Level 1, you're a member. Level 2, you comply with the rules. And level 3, you're constantly trying to make excellence the norm, not the deviation. Most of you in here are level 3 professionals. Sam was definitely a level 3 professional, a true person who really cared, a 5%er who wanted to change the world. In preparation for my remarks today, I talked to a lot of people, many of you here today, about Sam and his work. And I heard the words, and you've heard some of the words today, demanding, persistent, perfectionist, persistent, relentless, persistent, humble, persistent, a man of faith, persistent, a man of stature, persistent, servant leader, persistent, kind, persistent, professional, persistent, vanguard, persistent, thoughtful, persistent, brave, persistent, true friend, persistent, dedicated, persistent, and in case I haven't mentioned this, persistent. And scores of other words. Many of the people I spoke with on the fire side of things knew Sam for decades, when he was a firefighter, a captain, a battalion chief, a chief officer, and in his leadership role here at Verdugo Fire Academy. You lived and worked with Sam. I did not know Sam in those years. Sam knew me before I knew Sam. When I started giving my lectures, someplace along the way, he started showing up at lectures. I did not know that. I did not know, but later I learned he took it very seriously and tried to make excellence the norm, not the deviation. My thesis in graduate school was on the mathematical relationship between close calls, mishaps, and tragedies. And I could get no one in law enforcement interested in non-punitive close call reporting. In 1998, I met Chief Billy Goldfeder at a fire conference in Pennsylvania. And out of that came a dinner, and out of that came firefighterclosecalls.com. And 5 years later, firefighternearmiss.com. And then I learned that Sam was heavily contributing to both of these efforts after they started. In 2002, Bruce Bright and I started Lexipol, an effort to standardize policy, procedure, and training in law enforcement operations. And 5 years later, we spread it into the fire service. And Chief Goldfeder from 2,000 miles away said, you need to get Chief Sam involved. He's truly a 5%er. And I do recall the first time I formally met Chief Sam, during which he told me that he'd been to some of my programs before, and he agreed with what I was saying. He was a big fan of firefighterclosecalls.com and firefighternearmiss.com. And then he referenced these sites and in his lectures and in his written material. And you've heard about his sense of humor. In that meeting, he said very politely, just think, if you would have scored 10 points higher on the civil service test, you too could have been a firefighter. And part of me wishes I would have been. You guys have pulled the ultimate scam. Work one day, take 6 weeks off. I mean, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. Not to digress, but I was a freeway motorcycle cop for a long time, and the Los Angeles City Fire Department would show up at my car fires, and we always had to wait for water. And here I'm wondering, why isn't there water on the freeway? Well, I guess I wasn't alone, because one of you, while I was talking to you in preparation for this, I believe it was Chief Sanchez, Sam noticed there was no water on the freeway, so he went to Caltrans and made it happen. Caltrans. I mean, I've dealt with Caltrans for decades. Having them even answer the phone is a miracle. I mean, I don't want to badmouth them, but, you know. Did you hear about the 2 Caltrans employees that were walking along? One reached out and crushed a snail. The other guy says, why'd you do that? He's been following me for 2 weeks. Actually, I guess you heard the news today. Governor Newsom canceled Caltrans today, did away with it. Apparently, some Japanese companies developed a shovel that stands up all by itself. But you've heard the words today from other eulogists about Sam, servant leader, kind, professional, vanguard, and persistent. During our times together, I learned that all the above mentioned descriptors were accurate. But if I was asked what word sums up Sam, I haven't heard it yet today. Grateful. He was truly a grateful man. When he came aboard at Lexipol in 2013, he sincerely and regularly thanked me for my work with the programs I was teaching. He was grateful for my work. But as we talked shop, I learned that I was not special. Sam was grateful about a lot of things. He was grateful for his career. He was grateful to have Janet in his life. He was grateful to be an American. He was grateful he had friends. He was grateful to contribute to CSFA and ISP, the International Public Safety Leadership and Excellence Institute. He was grateful to be able to spread the word regarding wellness and fire service operations. He truly was a grateful man. And for all of you, particularly the young kids in here, I want you to think about that word grateful. It's disappeared. People are no longer grateful. I still do work for the CHP, and they're very kind. They pick me up at my house. They drive me to the airport. They pick me up in Sacramento. I do my work up there. They fly me home and pick me up at the airport. So I get in these cars. The young officers, they don't know me. They got a VIP pickup sign. And so I meet these guys. I get in the car. So how's everything going? The sergeant is on the radio. He's calling for cozy. That's where you sit next to a Caltrans work crew at nighttime, 4 hours overtime. You don't have to get out of your car. All you have to do is read a book, watch a movie on video. You just got to be there so they don't get robbed. That's a great deal. It's $600. I said, excuse me, I was talking to you. The sergeant's calling for cozy. Yeah, I heard that. You don't want the detail? No. You going to school? I got a high school degree. You married? No. You got a date tonight? No. And you don't want the overtime? I've done my time. I've done my time. You know, the department is screwing us on this deal. Excuse me. How much did you make last year? What? My guess is you made $200,000 last year. Well, maybe. You got a $2 million pension plan? No, we don't. Yeah, you do. You'd have to have $2 million invested at 5% to get what you're going to get for the rest of your life. You got the best health care in America, and somehow the department is screwing you? Holy moly, be grateful. Be grateful. You know, it's so troubling that people don't understand. I see a lot of this in America today. If I ever took over this country, and I don't want to get into the details, but by the way, on day one, there'd be 2 new rules. Number 1, you shoot at a cop or a firefighter, death penalty. Why are we rewarding people for being bad shots? And number 2, you turn 18, you're going overseas for 2 years. Mormon church, military, you know, Peace Corps, something, go overseas for 2 years. Our daughter did her graduate work in Scotland. 4 years later, our son did his graduate work in Manila. We're putting him on an airplane and, Dad, are you and Mom going to come to Manila as often as you went to Scotland to see Sarah? No. But we went there and he was working in the slums with prostitutes in Bonnabas, San Mateo, Rizal province, open sewer channel, 20,000 people in a couple of acres, no hope, no hope. And every one of these people, their goal was to become an American. That was their goal, to become an American. We got people born in this country who hate this country. Be grateful. Be grateful. We're so fortunate. Well, we are so fortunate. I've already mentioned that my graduate work was in systems management. This is not a class I teach. Everything I do involves systems. Doing this eulogy is a system. For those of you who are sometime asked to do a eulogy, here's the way I prepare. Linda Ellison has a great poem called The Dash. There's also a book by Mac Anderson by the same name, The Dash. Go to any cemetery in the world. On the headstone, on the grave marker, is a date of birth and a date of death. And what's in between them? The dash. The dash. What's between is a dash. So what did this person do during the years they were alive? And as you know, Sam had one heck of a dash. Again, I'm going to digress. Before I got married, I dated. Not a lot. You don't go through life looking like this, getting a lot of dates. And I was also very busy in school and working overtime trying to pay for my education. But in my very last year of law school, I was pulling in a lot of my personal motorcycle, and there was a Ferrari in front of me in line to get in the parking lot. I'd seen the Ferrari parked in the lot before. I wondered who owned it. So I'm taking off my helmet on my bike, and I'm looking, and a blonde woman gets out of this Ferrari. And she stands up, and she's that blonde thing. You know how they do that? You know? On a scale of 1 to 10, about a 92 billion, you know. So I go into class and 200-seat theater, 20 students, and, 19 of 20 are sitting where? Front row. Professor, I'm in the back row in the corner. I got my knapsack, my 40 caliber, 10 extra magazines, some beef jerky. I could hold out for a week if it goes down tonight. And in comes walking Ferrari girl, and she walks all the way up to the back row, comes all the way across, and sits down right next to me. And she says, "How you doing?" And I said, "As of right now, pretty good." She says, "You're the guy that always sits in the back row and insults stupid people all the time." And I said, "Yeah, I got a problem with stupid people." She said, "Some of your stuff is actually pretty funny." I said, "Well, thank you." She goes, "You know what I find really sexy in a guy?" "What?" "I love funny guys." "Well, I heard a good one today." "What?" "What do you call a lawyer with an IQ of 70? "What?" "Your Honor." She goes, "That's good. That's good." And we started dating. And she was a motorcycle cop's dream, Ferrari and vice president of a toy company. And I had an unlimited supply of GI Joes, and we were having a lot of fun. And 6 months into it, she says, "Gordon, not Gordo, not Gordy, not double G. Gordon, we need to talk." And I've heard this line before. It's a harbinger of bad news. "Gordon, can you be serious for a minute?" "Sure, what's up?" "You know what I really hate about you?" "What?" "You love your job. Every time we get together, you're talking about what you and Bruce did, what you and Mike did, what you and Bruce and Mike did. You love your job." I said, "I got the greatest job in the world. I'm a highway patrol motorcycle cop." And she was deadly serious. She said, "I hate my job. I hate the people I work with. I hate the people I work for. The only reason I work is for the money." Over the years, I've learned there's a lot of people in that boat. And no one in public safety should ever say that. Because not only are the pay and benefits good, but every day you work as a firefighter, you have an opportunity to make a positive change in somebody's life. Think that one through for a second. Making a positive change in somebody's life. Since most of you are on the fire side of things, some of you have saved a baby. Some of you use your medical skills to save a life. Some of you pulled a person out of a burning car. Some of you have helped a victim of domestic violence. You've made a difference in the lives of members of your community. Each and all of you are also making positive differences in the lives of the women and men you work with, work around, and work for, particularly in the arena of life-work balance. Well, guess what? You're helping them out, benefits them, but you're also simultaneously building your dash. And for that, you should be very, very grateful. Your work has benefited people, and simultaneously, your dash has been enhanced. So let's take a closer look at Sam's dash. As a firefighter, a bottom line road dog firefighter, he did all of the above, but then he moved into supervision. And as a supervisor, he was able to influence his crew on how to better help members of the community and his crew of the fire department. And then as a battalion chief, his span of control allowed him to show captains under his command how to improve the quality of their work and the work of their individual crews. And finally, as a fire chief, he was able to improve the overall operations of the Monrovia Fire Department and improve the quality of life for the citizens and visitors to that great city. But Sam's dash grew even larger with the voluminous contributions he made to the 22,000 members of the California State Firefighters Association and the teachings and writings he provided to fire service personnel from around our great state. Think of all the people influenced and swayed because of the lessons learned from Sam. And Sam's dash grew further when he took over operations at Verdugo Fire Academy. How many thousands of fire service personnel were positively influenced by Chief Sam over his years of service at this academy? And how many hundreds of thousands of successful outcomes and incidents have involved people that Sam had a role in training? And you know more is coming. Sam's work at Lexipol had a national and international reach. And his thoughts about making excellence the norm, not the deviation, and the importance of taking care of our people through wellness programs, you can see that Sam's dash is indeed monumental and has positively impacted people in all 50 states and beyond. This is a very, 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 very powerful dash. I know that I've probably exceeded my time limit in this eulogy, but one last thing. For all of you who are personally impacted by Sam, would you please stand up? Every one of you who was personally impacted by Sam, please stand up. Janet, turn around and take a look at this. Please, please. To all of you, you may sit down. You have been influenced by Sam. I've been influenced by Sam. He has really significantly changed our great world. Well, that concludes my thoughts about Sam and his life as I knew it. To all of you, again, thanks for coming out on this Sunday. To all of you, good luck, good health, goodbye. God bless you. God bless America. And please try to make your dash as meaningful as Sam's. Gordon Graham, signing off.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Persistency, gratefulness, and maybe I should have been a CHP motorcycle cop. This is going to be the hardest part for the firefighters, the public safety officers in the room. At this time, we'd like to honor Chief DiGiovanna with a traditional fire service last alarm Verdugo call out.
Red 1. This is the last call for Chief Sam DiGiovanna. Chief began his fire service career on January 28, 1980 with the City of Monrovia Fire Department. He was promoted to fire captain in 1995, battalion chief in 1996, and fire chief in 2003, serving with distinction until his retirement on December 30th, 2005. For more than 20 years, the staff through his commitment to excellence, professionalism, integrity, and compassion. His influence extended well beyond the Academy and Glendale Community College. He served with the California State Firefighters Association, left the pole, and worked closely with the State Fire Marshal, while also serving as a trusted fire service consultant for Embassy 4. Mentor, and friend. His leadership and dedication established a lasting legacy of protection and service that will continue to guide the California Fire Service for generations to come. Rest easy, Chief. We have it from here. Verdugo clear.
The last call for any firefighter, any public safety officer is the hardest. And for the fire personnel in the room, we all know how that sounds. And it's the sound that we never want to hear. And so as we close today's service, we are reminded that while Chief Sam DiGiovanna may no longer be with us here in body, his legacy lives on in every firefighter he trained, every standard he raised, and every life touched by his own leadership. On behalf of the DiGiovanna family and the Verdugo Fire Academy, thank you for standing with them today, for honoring Chief Sam DiGiovanna, and for carrying forward the values he stood for. Janet, thank you for allowing me and giving me the honor for guiding the ceremony. It's truly been an honor. Has always been by my side and everyone's side has ever come across. And we are forever indebted to him and yourself. We ask that you continue to keep the DiGiovanna family and the Vertigo Fire Academy in your thoughts and prayers in the days ahead. This concludes today's service, everyone. Thank you, and please travel safely. Thank you very much. Godspeed.